Job chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, one that feared God and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the east. And his sons went and feasted in their houses every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings, according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord, and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord, and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hand, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thy hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. So here Satan is tempting Yahuwah or Yahweh, and saying that, take all these things away and watch what he does. He will surely turn away from you. Okay? And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power. Only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabaeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they are dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose, rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped. And said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. And all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. And this is going to be the main portion of the text I'm going to discuss today. Because one person's individual walk is different than another's. One person might be going through great distress of something that might have happened to them. Their dignity may have been taken away. Their pride may have been taken away from something that they were so used to doing, that they were so praised for, and all of a sudden it's just snatched out from beneath them. And when you look at the context of this chapter, you see a man who had everything. He had his house, huge tracts, amounts of land, oxen, sheep, a farm, his sons and his daughters, 10 children altogether. And then with a certain amount of time, everything was taken from him, though he didn't do anything wrong. But everything was taken from him. Now, yes, God used Satan to bring this about, but the thing is throughout all of these trials and these troubles, which neither one of us, I think, in our own household can imagine what happened in this first chapter. I honestly don't think a lot of people are ready to go through such a trial as this, but it's coming. We are all going through our trials and testings, and God is bringing this about to happen. And we have to learn how to cope with it, regardless if it was regardless if something that happened that was your fault or wasn't your fault. You have to learn to accept it, and you have to learn to still give God the praise, because it is the Lord that gives, and it is also the Lord that takes away. And a lot of times it's the taking away. If you can keep your eyes focused on Him and not on your fleshly state in the world, that could possibly be the greatest blessing of all. I personally lost a child. And ever since then, I went through my rebellion. But who's to say I would have been where I am now if that great tragedy had not happened? Do I curse God to His face because my little one's no longer here? Do you curse God to His face because you had something going so good, and even though you were wronged and falsely wronged by another person, have that suddenly ripped away from you? Do you fall into sin because of that? Or will you go after the example of what Job did, and as he sinned not, nor charged God foolishly, and still, after everything was taken from him, after everything the Lord took away, he still worships God. And at the end of this chapter, blessed be the name of the Lord, and all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. It's a lot of examples you can look at this, in regards to this. A lot of examples in your personal life, in your trials and tribulations. Every single individual that belongs to Him will go through trials, will go through distresses, and it's not going to be easy. You are going to have tears. You are going to have depressed moments. But how are you going to react to it? Are you still going to be able to say, blessed be the name of the Lord? Are you going to be able to sin not, nor charge God foolishly? Consider what happened in the second chapter of Job, when Satan came back in front of the sons of God and presented himself to Yahweh. or Yahuwah. Okay. What happened? Well, he basically told Satan to strike his flesh. And so he was covered in boils from the sole of his feet to the tip of his crown. And then as Job 2:9 through 10 states, after all that, here comes his wife unto him. Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die. But he said unto her, Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What? Shall we receive good at the hand of God, and shall we not receive evil? And all this did not Job sin with his lips. That's pretty profound right there. Again, Job sinned not. Now, you look at this foolish woman. Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. You can also apply that to your own personal life. Can't you? On how your flesh acts out when something terrible goes wrong. Or how you reminiscent of something that happened in the past. Does that spirit, or does that fleshly nature tells you to say curse God and just die and just forget about it? Because a lot of times when you feel that anxiety and that depression that builds up inside you of something that's happened, a lot of times that's what your flesh is acting out and wants to say. Curse God and die. Or that's what the enemy is telling you. Curse God and die. Why keep on trusting in this figure that obviously isn't helping you anyway, right? So just get rid of him. But again, we look at Isaiah 45:7. Isaiah 45:7. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. He creates evil. I want you to pay real close attention. See, a lot of people want to blame Satan at this and blame Satan at this. And, you know, the devil made me do it. And the devil made me do it. The devil made me do it. What about you made yourself do it? What about the Lord takes away and the Lord gives? Because you are in such a lap of luxury, and then all of a sudden when he decides to pull the rug out from underneath you, are you still going to want to serve him the same way you served him when you were in the lap of luxury? It's the reason why he's doing this in people's lives. It's the reason why he tests people. If you're one of his children, you will be tested. And you will be tested harshly sometimes. And that test may last long. But what is that test doing? What is that test doing to you to build your strength? To build your faith? Could it be for the times that are coming? I would most certainly think so. The word evil in this passage has a vast amount of definitions. Okay? Displeasure, distress, evil favoredness or favoritism, basically, of man or thing, exceedingly great, grief or grievous. You feeling grief? You feeling grievous? Well, that's another portion. That's another definition of evil, is grievous. Not pleased, sad. That's evilness. Sadly, sorrow, trouble. The Lord creates evil and he makes peace. He creates the evil so hopefully you can turn to him And then you can hear those soft words say, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Because he is the only one that can give you rest for your souls. In his word, talking with him, in communion with him. I mean, just look at all these definitions of evil. And apply these to your life. Especially if you let the flesh overcome you. Disagreeable, malignant, bad, unpleasant, evil, displeasing, bad of its kind, land, water, etc. Look at this one. Sad, unhappy. Don't you think when these things are happening to you that these are tests that the Father in heaven is showing you or giving you? Hurtful, bad, unkind, vicious in disposition, wrongly accused of something that you want to quickly turn around and put the blame on that other person. Instead of actually giving God the glory. And giving God the thanks in good and in bad. Regardless of the situation. Regardless of the situation. Someone's child can be taken away from them. And they're a strong believer. And if they are a true strong believer, they will end up, maybe not right away because of the shock value, I don't know. They will end up realizing that, hey, maybe it was Yahweh himself that decided, hey, I'm going to take this child from you. After all, he gave it to you. He gave that child to you. He can sure as well take it away. He gave a job to you. He can sure as well take that away. And he can create evil to do it. You can have everything going right for you. He has given you all these gifts, but he can take them away. Because a lot of times everything that is given to you from him, people like to end up living in a luxurious way and of this world, when we're supposed to be seeking after him and keeping our eyes and our hearts focused on him. And so what happens? What happens? He takes away. And are you still going to be able to say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord"? Are you still going to be able to give him the glory and give him praise and worship him? Folks, these are tough questions. This is a tough little video. This is something that we all, sooner or later, I feel that I haven't been tested to my fullest measure yet. But you know what? I know it's coming. I know it's coming. And I know by the grace of God that he will see me through it. And I have faith that I will be able to overcome any distress that comes to me. So those that actually are in that state, you have no idea how much you're actually blessed to be in a state of sorrow. For when the real stuff hits the fan, you're going to be more ready for it than a lot of other people. Look at all the suffering. Count it all joy, as Paul says. You know, it's kind of interesting when you look at Job 2:9, when it says, "Then said his wife unto him, Dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse God and die." And then Job says to his wife, "Thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh." And then we go to Matthew 16:23 through 25. And he says, "But he turned and said unto Peter, Get thee behind me, Satan. Thou art an offense unto me, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but those that be of men." You holding on to something that's really dear to you, that's been taken away, and you still want to hold on to it? You know, it's kind of funny, you know, because after Peter just got done saying that, you know, after the disciples were gathered around, and they were saying, "Some say you are Elijah or John the Baptist come back from the grave," and then Jesus answered and says, "What sayest you that I am?" And then Peter turns around and says, "I believe you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God." And then right away, here comes Satan on the attack. Then said Jesus unto his disciples, "If any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross and follow me." If you want to follow Christ, if you want to be part of the body of Messiah, then you are going to be joining him in suffering. He is the head, we are the body. His body suffered just like we must suffer. And some of us will be martyred, some of us will be put to the test, but we have to endure to the end. It's not going to be an easy getaway. Just like it's not an easy life to live in a regular daily Christian life or follower's life. Because there are times you're going to be chastised, and there are times there are going to be things that are taken away from you that you have had for so long. And it's going to hurt. But how are you going to react? How are you going to still hold your head up high and say, "Blessed be the name of the Lord"? The Lord God gave, and the Lord has taken away. Are you still going to be able to sin not, nor charge God foolishly? James 1:17-19, "Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above, and cometh down from the Father of lights, with whom is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. Of his own will begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures. Wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, slow to wrath. For the wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God." See, the thing is, it's you and the world. The world is going to falsely accuse you more often than not. But as Christ says in John 16:33, "These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation. Be of good cheer, I have overcome the world." If you have something that happened to you that has stripped you from certain things, it's expected. Yeshua or Jesus just prophesied it right there. You shall have tribulation. Be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. Our kingdom is not of this world. So therefore, as hard as it is, and yes, easier said than done, I understand, we have to be willing to just forsake of the things that has happened to us and still keep our focus on him. And by doing that, 100% of the time. You know, it's funny. A lot of people like to go into their secret place and pray about their distresses and everything like that. And it's like, does it have to be in a closet? Does it have to be in the bathroom? Couldn't you be sitting there in your workplace and talking to him right then and there? I mean, he's right there. He is just as real now as he was when the disciples saw him face to face. So what if people look at you weird if they see you talking to yourself? Explain why. That's what he's there for. He's got your number. Give him a call. But know that you are always accepted. You are always accepted in good and in bad. Because in him, you will have peace. But you have to have the faith to believe that in him, you might have peace. And by constantly focusing on Yeshua or Jesus, and continuing to forsake the things of this world, which is basically the same way as crucifying your flesh, then that, my friends, there is no greater power that can reside in you. For then you know that you can do all things through Christ that strengtheneth me. And it's through that, my friends, that you will have peace. And through that you'll be able to come unto him, all you that are labor and heavy laden, and he will give you rest, and he will give you peace for your souls. But understand, calamities are going to come, trials and tribulation, distresses, dignity will be taken away, stripped from you. I'm speaking to myself as well as others. Hopefully this edifies some. But this is how it is. This is the walk. This is the journey. The straight and narrow path is a rocky, bumpy road. And sometimes you step on picker bushes. And sometimes you walk on those picker bushes for a good 2-3 miles. And then sometimes you get to walk on smooth sand. And then sometimes you might have to walk on some sharp rocks. But the point is that you need to stay on that straight and narrow. And not to rear off onto the left or to the right. Because when oncoming traffic hits, it can be a deadly thing. Stay focused on him. Stay focused on the Son. Stay focused on the Father. And he will see you through in the good and the bad. But always learn to thank him in the good and in the bad. Truth be told, truth be known. Stay safe. God bless. And we will see you next time. Bye-bye.